Hey guys, it's Archie. It's Archie. How are you guys going today? Great show lined up today. We have got a great show. And today, guys, we're going to discuss boxes and papers. Box and papers. Do you really need this stuff in watch collecting? Guys, let's run the snazzy 60s intro and let's discuss this further. Hey guys, ArchieLuxury here on the ArchieLuxury channel. Today, guys, box and papers. Do we really need this stuff? Very good question. Yes. Do we really need boxes and papers? That's a good question. I've got to be totally honest with you. It depends. Yeah, it depends. Box and papers, they've become very, people want that stuff now. They really do. And, I can remember years ago, nobody really gave a shit. Nobody collected this stuff. Why would you collect this shit? Why would you collect this shit? And the big problem with keeping all box and papers is, you know what the big problem is? It's dealing with where are you going to store all this shit? See, if we, when you watch these TV programs, Antiques Roadshow, you get to see all this shit. People you know, they say, oh, you got the box, you bring out this. You know, in a lot of cases, we don't have spare shit. We don't really have this stuff spare. And I got to be honest with you, where the fuck where the fuck do you put all this stuff? See, if we had, you know, these boxes, a lot of people, they live in apartments. You don't have a spare room just to store the boxes. You don't have spare space. So you've got to be very strategic in what you do. You just can't keep every bloody box, every bit of papers, every receipt. I mean, God forbid, how is the insurance company going to weasel out of a claim if you've got all the proof? How are they going to weasel out if you've kept everything? It's going to get very, very, very tricky. They can't weasel. So it's one of these things here, box and papers. How much shit do you keep? Like, you know, you buy a dinner set. Do you keep the box for that? You buy a TV. Do you keep the box for that? How much shit do you have? Now, let's get some panelists on here. Come on, let's get some panelists on my stream. Let's get the panelists on now. Come on, guys, come on. Box and papers. The interesting thing is, I used to say box and papers. I loved having box and papers. My Explorer 2, this was box and papers. I've seen it. I've seen it with my eyes. Now it's naked. So we got an interesting thing here. Tan Zeal. Yes, Archie, box and papers are important, not just in watches, but in other collector hobbies. Sneakers, people want the box. Cars, people want the original manual and tools. Interesting. Hey, Mike the Snake, how are you?
Hi, Archie. I'm doing just fine.
Now, I've got a guy here who says he's the narc, but how do I know he's the real narc? Because the last time I put the narc on, we had that porno thing came on.
Oh, shit.
So I'm narky. I'm very sorry, man. I need to have some proof. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I missed that or looked away or stepped away. I didn't see it, but that's an immediate, like, removal, isn't it?
Well, it's not quite as bad as that, but I've got a little bit of, I'm coming under attack because, see, what happens is there are people in this world who want to pull you down. Even when you're at a low point in your life, they like to kick you.
Yeah, you know what? I've always had a saying. If you just, like, sit down and cross your legs and cross your arms and sit there and do nothing, okay? Yeah. More people will come along and kick you than will come along and help you get up and offer a helping hand.
I got to tell you, Naki, I'm sorry. I don't know whether you're real or not. So I'm going to have to just, unless you could put up a picture, I'm not going to show the picture, but unless you could show who you are, I'm afraid.
Is this the narc with box and papers?
Yes, that's exactly it. Tell me this. I got to talk to you. I want to talk to you, Mikey. Box and papers. What do you think of box? Oh, he's gone. He's gone. So, look, I'm sorry, Narc.
I'm here.
Nothing personal. You know, it's. I got to tell you, box and papers. I want to talk to you about this. How do you feel about box and papers with your watches? Are you a box and paper man?
I am. When I'm paying, when I'm paying, you know, twice retail, and I'm buying high, and I'm just doing it because I want it and I have to have it. I want it the way I want it. You know, if so.
Zeal, let's just make sure that is the real Tan.
The real guy.
Hey Tan, how are you?
I'm good. How you guys doing?
Not so good there, Tan. I'm devastated. You know what happened, don't you?
I do. I do. It's a tragedy of the utmost the utmost gravity, I would say.
Tan, I mean, fuck me dead, Tan. I mean, I was just starting to have a bit of success. I'm making good money, okay? And then I suffer a massive. I mean, my collection, I loved like you love your cars, right? What would happen if somebody stole, well, the thing is, with your cars, you've got probably your car insurance is a much easier thing than watches and that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think you're going through homeowners insurance, right? Which is, unless you had a specific policy for the watches.
See, I had a really good safe. By the way, Mikey, I'll tell you an interesting conversation. Whoever broke in, I got a person who's an expert. He's a steel worker. He said this wasn't a steel worker who broke into the safe.
Really? You can tell because of the way they cut?
Yeah. He said, you know what? A steel worker, they work with 2 mil tolerances.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the way they've cut into this, it's amateur hour. This is somebody who, he said to me, it's more likely a carpenter or somebody who just knows how to use power tools. He said they didn't realize what they're doing. For example, the cut they use a 2 mil wheel.
Mm-hmm.
He said, if I was going to attack at this safe, I would use a 1.6 mil wheel. He said 1.6 isn't really readily available, but if you're a steel worker, that's what you would have. He said, by using a 2 mil wheel, you're wasting 25% energy and time.
Yeah, the thinner disc will slice through it like a sharper knife.
Exactly. He said, so these people are amateurs. The other thing he said was the way they did it, he said steel workers have their tolerances in steel is 2 mil. That's their deviation point.
Uh-huh.
He said the way they've done this, he said that's not steel worker. That's he reckons carpenter or backyarder. Just out of interest, sorry. Tanzil, it's been absolutely, what should I do? If you were me, I had the world time, the annual calendar, the girl size Pateks.
Yep.
Do I get them back again? Or do I say now's time to get man size Pateks?
I kind of disagree with you on the sizing thing. Just because, I mean, I agree with you with the 5196 wearing larger. It definitely does. It's not it's a 37 mil, but lug to lug.
It wears like a 38.
It does. I do believe that you're right on the 5296. I think when you had that watch, I actually tried it on. Yeah, I tried it on at a boutique. I think I called you and I was like, honestly, I didn't believe you, but it is the perfect size. So yeah. I don't disagree with you. I think, personally, like what I've always wanted to see on the channel was a grand complication. You've had the complications, you've had the Calatravas, you just really haven't dived into the perpetual calendar, those kinds of watches.
Tourbillon.
Hey.
Well, tourbillons I think might be a little bit too pricey, but perpetual calendar, given kind of the money he had in some of those watches, he probably could have consolidated into a perpetual calendar.
And then it would have been stolen anyhow.
Yeah, that was definitely not a good situation. I agree, but look, you're rebuilding.
I mean, look. I don't think like a criminal. Like, for example, I spent 13,000 on CrimSafe security screens, okay, for the whole house, right?
Yeah,
that was a waste of money. They just got a drill. They drilled the lock. They were in. If I would have spent 5,000 on cameras in that room and an alarm, it wouldn't have happened.
When it happened, I got a lot of messages. Like, obviously, I haven't been around YouTube very much these days, but I got a lot of people pinging me when it happened, and I kind of, and they were saying, "Oh, Archie was stupid," and this and that. I said, "Look, guys, how many of you, at one point in time in your life, and everybody has bank safes and stuff like that, didn't just, were that one day that they just had watches in their house, and either they were lazy or life just." Just got busy and, they just didn't take it to the safe that day. Like, it happens. I guarantee you everybody's had that situation. So people like that can really flake right off, in my opinion. That's what I said. I'm like, you guys are dumb. Like, doesn't, Archie, you guys know he used to take his stuff to the bank safe. Like, come on.
You know where I'm going after the show today?
Where he had the bank safe.
Mm-hmm. Can I show you in there?
I think it's like, look, it's a good idea, but we got a super chat here.
ABC, £2. Tanzil in Beeson can you read that, Tanzil, please?
In Bhanso ke saath kya kar rahe ho? Meaning he's saying, with these Bhans is like, I don't know, like buffalo or cow, I guess. What are you doing with these cows? And these are my favorite cows, so I'm here with my favorite people. So that's what I'm doing here.
Let me. We got another super chat, fella, $2. Tan, explain why the 5040p at 45,000 versus 100,000 RRP is epic.
Look, I kind of disagree with you on the 5040p. That tonneau case, I like it.
By the way, fella, I'm happy to sell you one of the boxes cheap.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like that. At one point, wasn't that TV case was getting popular? It was like 2 years ago, maybe something like that. Like, it's definitely a cool watch. I like that watch a lot. It's off the beaten path, and
I couldn't say that to fella because fella's been a bit of nasty to me, so I could never. Whatever he goes for, I can't.
You know what? He's a great supporter of the channel, though. He watches all the videos.
I know.
And he's one of the guys who would like always.
Just hang on, I got to order something, honey. Could you get me an orange juice? And if you could just put the aircon on for me, it's very hot here. Thank you, honey. Do you need money?
No, I'm going to use the credit card anyway.
What are you buying exactly?
Sushi.
That's it?
Yeah, and toast. Do you need anything from the shop?
I'll just be 1 minute, guys.
Yeah. So
hello.
Yeah, I can handle stuff.
No worries.
Yeah. So like this watch it's like Mike. It's a different type of case. It's not your usual circular case. So it's not the most popular, but it's definitely a watch that I believe it's got a lot of value. Like he's saying, he's like, at that price, like, is it not worth it? Absolutely, it is.
The 5040p that you're talking about.
Yeah,
is it what size is it?
I don't know,
is it like 40 or is it 30?
Yeah,
it's small.
It's no, it's not small. It's not small. It's definitely
small. 37.
Yeah, it's probably around that range, 37, and it's like that's sort of I think the difficult part about sizes. If you just look at size and numbers, don't always necessarily reflect how the watch wears in the 519.
No, I agree completely because, like, you look at a 44 millimeter diver's watch, and most of that 44 millimeters is bezel, and the dial itself and crystal are actually smaller than a 37 millimeter watch, and so when you put the 37 on your wrist, it actually looks bigger than a 40 millimeter or a 42 millimeter watch because it actually is. The dial and the crystal are actually larger than, like, my 44 millimeter James Cameron has the same size dial and crystal as my 41 millimeter Submariner.
Yep, absolutely. I think there's other super popular fellows.
And so a 37 millimeter watch that has the crystal that goes all the way out to the edge and has a very, very thin bezel, it's actually going to present bigger on the wrist than a larger watch per se, like a diver's watch per se. Like, and so, yeah, I happen to be a liker of larger watches, but that's just my preference. But I also am not a dress watch guy. So
it's funny how Archie is talking about, like, back in the day, we didn't care about boxing papers. Well, back in the day, Archie used to call 39 watches dinner plate specials. So, I think I'm one of the only guys who can call him out on that. So,
tell me this, Tan, box and papers. Are you a box and papers man?
Like I said in the super chat, I wrote, like, in a lot of collecting hobbies, people want a complete set. Like in cars, it's just as important. You get these classic Ferraris. People want the original tools. They want the service records. They want the manuals. And if you don't have those, it definitely affects the value of those items. So yeah,
it's like buying a car with complete service history.
Exactly.
You definitely have a little more confidence in it if somebody's shown all the oil changes from when it was born to the point of their obtaining it. And box and papers are kind of like that. They kind of show that somebody actually bought it for real, and there's a receipt that goes, then the card is signed, and it kind of aids in the authenticity. And especially when you're buying watches up in the higher price ranges, like I really want the Vacheron version 3 blue 3-hander, and they're 40 grand, right? I would have a real problem just dropping 40 grand on one without box and papers. I really would.
Sirocco's saying to keep up with the super chats. SR Bell has.
Oh, sorry. Here we go. Super chats. Let's get back into the swing of these super chats. By the way, fella, the 5040p, you are a lucky man. That's a gorgeous watch. I was just having a go at you.
Can you pull it up? Can we see it?
Mike, we can certainly pull it up because it is a great watch. Just get this super chat. SR Bell, $2. AC, would you eat foreskin for $2? I don't want to do nasty shit. You know what? One thing in life I like to do is just do my own shit. I don't need to do weird stuff. I didn't join the public service. You know why I didn't join the public service? Because it would be like eating the biggest dog turd of my life. So for me, I can't stand taking direction and being controlled. It's not about the dog turd. It's not about the foreskin. It's about, rape. They say this, rape is not about sex. It's about control. And that's the same thing. I don't want to be controlled by you, SR Bell. By the way, just out of interest, there we go. That's called the TV watch because it's a Torno, like an old TV set. You see what I mean?
the Torno shape.
Yeah. So at 200,000,
that's a cool watch.
Actually, I tell you what, I'd give it a try. I hope SR Bell, you do actually come forward and actually
saw the watch. Now he's reconsidering the option.
I want the money in arbitrage.
You got another super chat from fella afterwards.
Fella, $2. Arch. We are having brekkie next year. Be in touch, man. Of course we will. I love you. By the way, fella, I have the least damaged box was the gray one. So we can work out a deal. You can possibly get that repaired.
You want to know what's funny, Arch? I jump in and out of watch YouTube every couple of months. And every time I come back, it's like everyone's still circle jerking the same like dozen watches. I think Tim was talking on his channel about Watch Gringa's video about investments. And I'm like, guys, like, how is this still being talked about? Like, it's so stupid because most watches, like most cars, go down from retail, go down in value. Most watches, just like most cars. Yeah. Everyone's like, oh, cars are depreciating assets. So are watches. Like, are you serious? Like, you can the percentage of watches made and the watches that go up in value, that's a small percentage, guys. And it's like we circle jerk the same damn watches all the time. And it's like, it's just so, I don't know how people are getting to like 100,000 subs off like the same crap content. Like, I just don't get it.
Tan, I noticed something very interesting about you, okay?
Yes, go on.
I saw a picture where you have 2 model Lamborghinis on your shelf.
I have a lot of model cars, yeah.
Wow, very cool.
1 minute. We'll come back to that in a minute. Mr. Valju, $10. 4,000 bank robberies happen a year in the US. About 50 of the take the safety deposit. About 50 of these, they take the safety deposit boxes. I have all pieces in my collection scheduled and cover me worldwide. No receipts required. He's got premium cover, but that costs a lot of money. Obviously, I should have had it, but that's okay. You know, Mr. Valju, you know who one of his best friends is? Tan?
Who's that?
Larry Ellison.
Oh yeah, so the guy who
Cisco,
I think. Yeah.
Can you believe that?
I'm gonna text you. I'm actually sitting in the room where I have some of my model cars, so I'm just gonna text you some of them. I sent you on WhatsApp.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
But yeah, I collect.
Holy fuck! How many do you have?
I have 1, 2,
you
3.
Collect 1 to 18s. What scale do you like?
Yeah,
Tell me
118s. 118s is what I collect. Yeah.
What do you think of that scale as a size?
I think it's good.
Hey,
Yeah, Auto Art's a pretty good brand where they can do like the cars that have like opening doors and stuff. Yeah, go get the super chat and we can talk about it afterwards.
Okay, okay, here we go. Yankee Doodle. So Mr. Valju, thank you so much for the advice. Yankee Doodle, $5. What is considered rich and what is considered wealthy? Okay, in my opinion, okay, I would say wealthy is less than rich is somebody I would say rich. It depends, okay? Like in different parts of America, it's different things. But in New York, rich is 100 million plus. Wealthy would be 10 million in New York. Where I'm from in Australia, I would say rich would be 20 million Australian. Wealthy would be 5 million Australian. Okay? What would you say, Tan? I really like to hear this because you are a rich man.
And by the way, it is Oracle. It's not Cisco. Yeah, it's definitely.
Sorry, Oracle. Sorry, apologies.
Look, I kind of look at the two terms as different, right? Like wealthy, you know, when we look at monetary net worth, and again, net worth is a lot of things, right? It's not just how much money. It's assets. It's a lot of things, and that's actually the topic that other channels would talk about was assets, quote unquote, and alternative assets. Rich can mean a lot of things, right? Rich can mean a lot of things, and I believe it goes beyond just money. You know, it's rich in
how many wives you have.
Yeah, it's life, right? It's being rich in life. It's I believe it's not just limited to monetary, just having a lot of monetary wealth and whatnot in that perspective. So I believe it's not just about money.
Tanzil, why do you like the 1 to 8? Can I show you a model car, by the way?
Yeah, go for it.
Do you want me to show you or not?
Sure.
So just make sure we got our super chats all handled well. Fella, I got a deal for you on a secondhand box. Mr. Valju, thank you for the statistics. I do appreciate it. Yankee Doodle, very interesting topic, rich and wealthy. I want to show you. Can I show you my 1 to 18 model?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I've actually had these. These were damaged, and I've had these just replaced. Okay, do you want me to show them to you?
Yeah, sure. Mike, while he goes there, it's I mainly collect 1 to 18 Lamborghinis. I have the odd 1 to 18 Porsches that are just models of cars I've actually owned.
Oh man, well, very cool. I'm a huge car nut. Have been since
the zeal with the mostest. The zeal. Here we go, zeal. Look at this. What do you think of that?
Oh, nice. That's your car?
Beautiful. That's his car.
I'm actually I wanted to send this to Mike the Snake because I want you to black out the grill for me and black out the wheels. Then it would be exactly my car.
Ah, cool. Your car's murdered out like my car. Yeah, very cool.
So this brand is called Norev, Norev. Have you heard of that brand, Tan?
I haven't. I mostly collect auto art. They do like all different kinds of brands. But BMW, I know that like when you buy it from BMW, they have specific brands that are specific manufacturers that make their cars.
Yeah.
Does the steering wheel turn with the wheels on that car?
Actually, to be honest with you, it does. Actually, this one here, steering wheel. Not that you really need that. I think that's a bit.
No, you don't. But it's just neat. It's neat when you have.
Now,
that.
I want to show you something, Tan. Can I show you what I love about having 1 to 18? So that was my current BMW, and this is the old E30.
Ooh, nice. That is
1
cool.
to 18. You can compare the size. You see what I mean?
People, even in diecast collecting, people want to keep the boxes, right? It's kind of the same topic of watches. People want the boxes.
You think I should keep the boxes for these?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Where the fuck do I store all this shit?
That E30 is very nice. I'm a big fan of the E30.
What would you rather go for a drive in, the E30 or the G20?
I would go in the E30, like hands down.
Yeah, I think the E30 would be a more fun ride to get sideways in.
I've been in dock.
Funny thing is, look at the size of them, right? Did you know? Did you know? Look at the size of them, right?
Yep. Did
you know a 5 Series from 2000, the G20 is bigger? Did you know this is the same size as a 5 Series from the early 2000s.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, they've been getting bigger and bigger.
Oh yeah, you see a Porsche 996 911.
What do you think of those two? What do you think of those two? Are they lovely or not?
Beautiful. They're great cars. They're great cars. Yeah, a friend of mine bought a Porsche 996 Turbo, and they showed up to a car meet. And they parked beside one of the newer Porsches, like a 992 or 991, and it was just so small compared to like the new cars. So
oh yeah, the new Porsches are huge. They're just bulbous.
Just hang on, guys. I got to tell you, Tan. Here we go. SR Bell, AC. Would you let your little son anywhere near Mike? Mike, I tell you what. I honestly think Mike is one of the nicest guys I've ever met in my life. Okay.
Well, thank you, Archie.
No, I'm fucking mean this because you're a fucking nice guy, right? You're probably one of the nicest. I would say the nicest humans I've ever met. You're probably in the top 5.
Wow.
I did send you another picture on WhatsApp of a recent watch.
I'm flattered, Archie.
I'm just telling you the truth. I'm not here to flatter anyone. I'm just telling you the truth. You know, one thing that's happened after the robbery is I've become brutally honest now. Like, I'll give you an example. Can I tell you a story or not? Do you want to hear a story or you don't want to hear a story?
Sure.
Sure, let's hear a story.
So I got a friend of mine who's an alcoholic. He lost all his money through whoring and stupidity, right? And he found out about the robbery. And I said to him, you know what? He rings me because misery has many friends, right?
Oh, yeah.
And I said, Mark, you lost your money through being an alcoholic idiot. I lost my money through a violent robbery. Okay? I still have some money left. I've got a house. We've got an investment apartment. We've got 401ks. I said, so there's nothing out of your alcoholic mouth that I fucking want to hear. I said that to him. I said, there's absolutely no wisdom you can convey to me which would make me make money or bring back my collection. So I don't even want to talk to you. I've become brutally honest. Do you understand what I mean, Tan?
It's the way life is.
And I got to tell you something, Tan. Life's too short to drive boring cars. You know that, Tan?
Life is too short to drive boring cars.
I feel really upset because what happened in me in the past, if I would have sold my collection off, you know, I could have had a 911. That was my dream car, is a 911, not even a turbo. All I want is a 911, just a base 911. That's all I wanted in life. Okay? We've got a super chat, a car question for Tan Zeal. The Zeal with the mostest. Here we go. Neo, $5. Tan Acura TLX Type S or BMW 340. Now, it would be an M340i. Okay? It's not called a 340. It's now called a M340i. If I want to buy a car new and drive it into the ground, both cost $55,000 MSRP. Well, I think the Toyota would last longer, right? But the fucking BMW would be a fuckload more fun, up to about 150,000, up to 120,000 miles. What do you think, Tan? Please answer this, Tan.
Yeah, I'll answer this one. I am trying to avoid car talk and reference talk on paddocks. I know that it's not the best topics for everybody, but car question. But look, most of these luxury cars literally depreciate to zero. So you kind of have to look at what you're looking for.
You can say that again, man. I've got a 335 IS that I can't even give away right now.
That's the big thing to understand is, you know, luxury cars, most of them depreciate to zero, right? You'll have a 2010 BMW that was probably new at like 40, 50 grand is worth like 5 right now. Like you don't see that in like supercars. You don't see a Lamborghini Gallardo selling for 5 grand. They bought them and then they stop and then they sometimes go up. So to answer the question, look, it's what you're looking for. To me, the Acura is going to have better technology. You know, and if that's what you like, right, in the short time of that period of like ownership, I guess you'd say, then go for it. I personally prefer, you know, a driver's car. I think that the 340i is, like what Archie says, going to be a better driver's car, and it would be the car for me. I do own 2 BMWs. I have an X3, so I have an F25 X3, and I have an F30 328 that I use for the winter because winters here in Canada are pretty harsh. And I drive them through the ground. And
oh, you got an F30. I love the F30.
Yeah, and I had I had the previous generation E90, which was the inline six, naturally aspirated, which was a great car.
Ah, that was the dream car. People talk about that now.
328 is naturally aspirated as well, isn't it?
The F30 is
yes,
turbo.
It is.
Yeah, it's like a 335 junior.
What's turbo? What's turbo? Sorry, what's turbo?
It's a turbo 4. So
what's that?
Oh, it's a new one. It's a new 328.
Yeah, so you're E30, so you're talking like something like a 2013 and newer.
Yeah.
Gone to the turbo. So
yeah,
it's what you like, right? But again, the 3 Series, great handling car. If you like driving, that's probably your best bet. But like, look, if you want all the new technology, more reliability, yeah, like the Acura is the best. But look, at the end of the day, you're gonna drive these for 10 years. These cars are gonna be worthless anyways. So buy for what you like in these specific segments of luxury.
Honestly, with BMW, if you're a real driver, if you want a real driver's car, you get a 135.
135s are cool.
They're just they'll go 175.
The M340,
smaller.
Mikey, the M340, that's got the straight line 6 turbo, twin turbo, and that engine is now really. Your one had a few niggly things. This one here apparently it's the best engine they make.
Well, mine has the N54 twin turbo, and the niggly things have been worked out long ago, and you felt it. It's got.
It's a rocket ship, man. That thing is a fucking rocket ship.
Yeah,
this kind of circles back to what I was talking about with Watch Gringa's post, right? Like her video was like investments. Like, I don't understand why watch YouTubers talk about watches as investments. Like, it's like here, it's most cars, including the ones that Neo was talking about, depreciate from retail. Most watches depreciate from retail. A small percentage of cars and watches go up, but we just seem to like want to circle jerk the Daytonas and the Pepsis and all these other watches, the Nautilus, and it's like, man, like, why are we like day in and day out for years on years on years talking about the same damn watches? It doesn't make sense.
I guess they maintain the interest, but I agree with you. I would love to talk about other brands, but that's Archie's format is just a little more based on watches that hold their value. So
hold their value and investments are two different things, right? Like your money is different than something that's going to appreciate.
Mr. Valjoux, $5. I'm Watch Eric. You too can now own my entire hype collection at half its market price 6 months ago. Laugh
but Archie,
out
like
loud.
This whole thing about Rolex being like overhyped, like these guys weren't around in the 90s and 2000s when Panerais were overhyped and you couldn't get a Panerai for the life of you.
Yeah.
Like, they think this is new. This is the best part. Is all these watch gurus are like, oh my God, like the market just last 2 years. I'm like, man, you guys weren't around in the 2000s. Try to get a Panerai back then. Like,
just give it a year or two and see where we're at. It's like you have no idea where it's going to go, really. It has flip-flopped on us so many times.
Neil's next super chat's pretty funny.
But you're right about cars, and watches. They as soon as you roll them out the driveway from the dealership, their value drops and continues to drop, usually, unless it's a specific model or a special.
Just very quickly, Neo, $2. If I buy an Accord, it's Tan's fault. Let me say this. The Accord is a fantastic car. You know who actually got an Accord? Luke. Luke actually got rid of his M340 and he bought a hybrid Accord. They're two different styles of car, okay? For starters, the BMW is a really fun driver's car, but the Accord it's a different style of car there. So Honda makes a great product. I'll be honest with you. For the bang per buck, Honda in my country, Honda has fucked things up. They went to a fixed price model. They did some really stupid things. And we got a super chat from JJ, Gentleman's Hangout, $2. Mike, what other brands would you like to discuss? JJ, are you doing an after show? I'm happy to send the link to you today because I love you, JJ. You let me know, JJ. Better still, JJ, why don't you come back on and talk to me on the stream? You can tell me in person because we always have time.
It doesn't even have to be brands, right? Like it's even watches within brands. It's like not all Pateks are, going absolutely bonkers. Some are, not all JLCs are going bonkers, right? Like probably none of them are. Maybe like one or two, and you had those situations with JLCs too, Archie, when you had the tribute to 1931, the US edition with the syringe hand and the Fagliano strap. Like those were the ones that were appreciating. It exists everywhere. It's a lack of knowledge. And it's a circle jerk. It just spooks all the time. It's the same damn thing. And it's just like, this is actually what drove me away. I just, every 6 months I log on and it's the same topic. Like it's stupid. And Mike,
I gotta tell you, Tan, it's an honor to have you here, man. I fucking love you.
JJ wants Mike to answer the question, by the way.
JJ wants to answer the question.
Wants Mike to answer the question.
Oh, Mike. Oh, yes, Mike.
Breguet, Glass Shoot Original, Vacheron.
Yes, thank you. JJ, come back.
Hello.
Many of the models that I can't pronounce.
Okay.
I'd like to even have German watch discussion. There's a number of German companies that make really awesome stuff, Zen and other companies. Okay,
let's pick one. Let's pick one and roll in and talk about it in depth then, because you said Archie's format don't allow it, but you're on his stream every night and you never mention anything in depth about these. I'm not just picking you out.
I have, but it's just
this is a question a lot of people say, but nobody brings up these other brands that supposedly everyone wants to hear about.
I've brought them up. It's just they haven't been. Nobody's run with them. It's just kind of swayed back to the normal conversation.
I can play ball here. Let's talk Panerai, Archie. Panerai in the, like I said, 90s and 2000s was an overhyped brand like Rolex today, right?
Yeah. Mike, I fell into it deep. I fell into that deep.
In Archie's model, Archie used to always say you're gonna buy secondary market and not lose money, right? You buy an Etta Pam today, like a 111, 112, 005, 000. Like you buy them on the secondary market and you sell them 6 months later, you're gonna get your money back. Like they're not going to tank 50%, right? Like this exists in other brands. So I don't know, Archie. I don't know what was your take of Panerai in the 90s and 2000s.
Look, Panerai itself was the big collectible watch there. You couldn't get your hands. Panerai was like where Rolex is today. The collector market was frantic. To believe you, I just can't believe Richmond fucked it up so badly, because that was the collector market. I mean, I remember Kenny Nguyen, he had a briefcase full of Panerais.
Isn't that
sorry? JJ? The Panerai market, that was the leading brand. Oh, JJ's, we got some transmission problems there. Hello, JJ?
Yeah, I think I got disconnected. Can you boot that other one? I don't know what's going on.
Sure.
But I was saying, isn't that like the hallmark of a collectible brand when a watch collector has multiple models of the same brand? Isn't that a pretty strong indicator that that's very popular, or if you want to say hyped at the moment?
Look, I got to tell you, Panerai was so hyped. I remember reading about the Paneristes. Just 1 minute. Doug Lett, $10. I believe you should get this watch next. The Zenith Chronomaster Rose Gold 40 mil open case back, early 2000s. Reference, Please look up the reference and give me an opinion. I got to be totally honest with you. Zenith had some really, really, really fucking ugly stuff. They had some really fucking ugly stuff, and people seem to forget about this. Can you read me that number? 17, what is it? 17?
17.0240.
Yep.
0.410.
Let's call this fucker up and see what he says here. What does he thinks this is? Actually, I don't mind it. These were never that popular. I remember these were amazing bang per buck. Little bit on the, I don't know if the styling is quite my cup of tea, but it doesn't sing to me. Personally, it doesn't sing to me, okay? I'm sorry. It doesn't sing to me.
It looks like they're trying too hard on this.
Tan, what do you think of this, Tan?
I think if you switch the name on the dial to Patek Philippe and it was a perpetual chronograph or something,
I think I'd
sing
love
just
it.
right for you.
Yeah, they're trying too hard. Yeah.
But I mean, that's also the essence of it, right? Is everyone's like, buy what you like, and I if this guy likes this,
you know what my plans are, Tan. You know my plans are. So, okay, I've had a complete shock, right? I want to keep my Explorer 2 forever.
Yep.
I also was given by two watch dealers and a super collector a Speedmaster 3861.
Beautiful. Is it Hesselite or is it Sapphire Sandwich?
Hesselite.
Okay, beautiful. Yeah.
Real deal.
I would like to get a two-tone bluesy 40 mil next.
Rest in peace, Blue Shirt Buddha.
Actually, Blue Shirt Buddha's got the 41.
41, yeah.
But yes, but as close as you can get.
Yep.
And then what I'd like to do is I want to get my wife. She loves her Tank Francais that was stolen.
Didn't you have a Patek 24? Didn't you buy that for her at one point?
She did. I sold that actually a number of years ago.
Hey, Arch, can I make a suggestion to you?
Yes, sir.
But down the road, do you think it would be a cool idea, like approaching Christmas time, to do an episode where you guide some people on maybe watches and different price points that you feel a good value if they wanted to buy a gift for their significant other, like their wife or something?
You know, the funny thing is, what I say is there's always good stuff you can buy for a watch collector. You don't necessarily need to buy him a watch. Like, if you've got a certain budget, you know what I would buy a watch collector? Books.
No, I mean like a watch collector.
Like, I know, but I'm saying to you, we can definitely do it. Next super chat, Douglet, $2. I paid 7.3K full set. The bang per buck is insane. That's 10,000, over 10,000 Aussie. You know what? Look, I'm not that super attracted to it, Tanzil. You know what I mean? I don't know what you think. Thank you.
So the topic that JJ and Mike were talking about, and from JJ Super Chat, was kind of your philosophy of, and how it can be applied to other things outside of just the Rolex stuff. So, look, a part of this, I think Dujad or Douglet, whatever his name is, part of this is also liquidity, right? Like when I talked about the Panerai ETA movements, there is some form of liquidity in the market where if you were to sell that, you'll definitely have buyers out there that would still value it. This one may be a difficult one. The market may be very niche, very small. And Archie used to say that about the smaller Pateks, right? The Calatravas, where I never had a problem selling mine, but it's also the circle I was in of buyers that I knew, and I had some level of liquidity with those buyers. So, it's also a catch-22 if there's no liquidity.
I got to tell you, Tan, where do you store all your boxes for all your shit? Or you have a special house, just a rental house that you put all your stuff into?
I'm not going to divulge too much information.
Storage unit.
Yeah, like I don't keep everything in the same place. I definitely, safety deposit box is a must. You just got to have a certain level of security. In the car stuff, I mean, JJ follows me on Instagram on the car stuff. So, I am quite visible. People know me in the community and stuff like that. So
I want to ask you something, Tan. You've always been a role model to me. How many watches do you have now?
I can name out some of them that I have. I have a Datejust 2 that I had for ages. I bought it in like 2012.
Yeah.
So I have a Datejust 2. I have the 5196 that you see, the 5196G.
Oh, that's your 5196. You own that.
I do have a 5196G.
I love that watch.
I have a Hulk. I have the new Kermit or Cermit or Starbucks. I don't know what to call it.
Yeah.
I just got a Pepsi actually yesterday.
Wow, very cool.
At retail?
Not at retail. Bear and I have a similar friend, mutual acquaintance in Toronto who can get us certain watches as we need them. So I have the Pepsi, I have the Cermit, I have the Hulk, I have the 5196, I have the Speedmaster 3861 Hesselite. Datejust 2. Yeah, I did. You know, like I always had to have, you know, and I sold, for example, it's funny, you talked about this yesterday. I sold my JLC Reverso 976, which is kind of like,
Yeah, you sold that to Jin, didn't you?
I did, and I bought it back from him as well, and then I sold it again. And you know, this can kind of even, it was going to kind of take me to that topic around like, you know, JLC, right? If you ever ask him, anyone super chats Archie, what do you think of JLC? He'll be like, brand's terminal, don't buy it, right? But that doesn't mean that you can't buy a Reverso that will either hold money or it's liquid, like the tribute to 1930.
Yeah, well, I always say JLC is a great brand. You just don't want to buy it new. You want to be very careful.
Yeah.
Like, you know, one watch I really miss. I don't know if you know this, Tan, but I had a JLC Polaris chronograph, the 2-register chronograph. I thought that was fucking amazing watch.
I don't remember you owning that one, but you know, the Grand Date was a Grand Date still sell for a decent amount of money. Like
I had a Grand Date. I still own a Grand Date, but I just don't have possession of it. Okay.
How much different is the price right now than when you bought it? Like if you use a stress test of like,
okay, you know what? I'll tell you honestly. Okay, my Grand Date. Don't forget too, I got an engraving on it, so that kills the value. But realistically, I paid 6.5 Aussie for it.
How much is it worth now?
Probably 10.
There's
11, 12. I'm talking Aussie dollars. It hasn't really gone up that much.
But it hasn't. You haven't lost any money, and that's the exact.
It hasn't gone down.
Right. No. That's the exact point I'm making. Is like you could buy Jen wants to buy the boutique edition Rouge dial. He's been wanting that forever.
Yeah.
You know, and it's sought after in the tribute to 1931 US edition. Like there are watches within these brands that can absolutely apply Archie's rules to. Just
Mercedes, he's got a C class. You know, Jin's got a C class now.
Yeah, he's a king of shitters, that guy. So
would a BMW 3 Series, would a 3 Series would have been better for him or not?
I've met him multiple times, and he's had different cars. He's had BMW 3 Series, he's had a C class. He likes his luxury cars. You know, it's fine. Like it's whatever floats your boat, man. I got nothing wrong.
How many Lamborghinis do you have at the moment?
Well, I have actually surprisingly 2 in my garage right now, but one of them's not mine. It's a friend of mine who's storing it with me. But I've owned in the last 2 years 2 of them. I have a new, I have a new Huracan Evo now.
Wow, very cool.
You got some super chats, Mr. C, and then Mr. Value. You missed Mr. C as well, I think.
C, $1, $1, $1 for Mr. C.
And you got one from Mr. Valjoux.
$5 last night. A young kid asked me, what watch should I invest in for 10K? I honestly did not know what to tell him. I told him save 15 to 20, then buy. Look, I think for $10,000, there's a lot of good watches. Personally, I reckon the Speedmasters are amazing. 10K US, I would say a Milgauss. Buy a Milgauss and wear it. That's the best investment you can make in yourself. I reckon
probably.
A Milgauss.
Well, when you say the term invest, right? Invest implies that you're going to make money.
And
but
any
you know what
Rolex,
investing is? Listen to me. Investing means that you wear it when you are in work. You get years of use out of it. See, investing doesn't just mean how much return you get per year. True. It also means how does it help you with your swagger.
In quality clothing, right? Like invest in a good coat that'll last you 20 years, not a piece of garbage.
Yeah, cost per wear, JJ. Cost per wear. So
it depends on your definition of invest. Yeah. I hear what you're saying, Tan, because I kind of agree. It's like invest, bad idea. I mean, 10 grand, I think is a pretty not a good price to invest. I would say maybe if you're gonna buy like a real complicated Patek for like 40, 50 that'll hold over the next 10 years, or maybe do a little better. That could be.
Mind you, I got to tell you the truth, JJ. You know that girl size annual calendar I owned, 5035.
It's gone up.
It hasn't really. It's. I paid. I bought it. I bought it for 18 and a half. I sold it for 25. I bought it back for 20.
Aussie.
Sorry, Aussie. Yeah, all Aussie. Okay. That thing's probably worth 30 Aussie at the moment. Seriously, it's not worth. It's not worth more.
But it's been hovering around its original value and or a little.
It hasn't
little
gone
more.
fucking anywhere. I'll be honest with you. That watch hasn't gone fucking anywhere.
Isn't that the point? Like you want to buy something that either stays where either you get your money back or it increases.
Here's the punchline question.
You don't want to lose. That's all.
How many watches go up 50% or more in value? How many of all the thousands of watches that are produced. How many actually
5% probably, you know,
go up permanently? Or, I mean, like at some point.
Yeah, let's say over a relatively, decent period of time. Let's say 5 years, 10 years, something like that.
And we got Doc BBW on to join the discussion. Hello, Doc. We got the old crew back on the stream.
Very few watches go up that much, and that's where I say this whole talk about investments is like ludicrous.
How's it going? How's it going?
Hey,
good to see you on the show, Tanzil.
Yeah, you texted me, so I wasn't gonna leave. I didn't hear JJ's what he said, so I don't know if you could say it again.
Hey JJ.
Hey, how's it going? No, I just said probably between 2 and 5%.
By the way, the sexiest four-door sedan in the world is JJ's CLS. He's got a CLS 450, don't you, JJ?
Yes, I do.
Ooh,
Fuck,
nice.
That is sexy. That is a fucking sexy car.
You can't touch Mercedes.
I prefer JJ's watches. I prefer the watches. Sorry.
I'll trade them all for Dan's Lambo.
Are you serious? Do it, man. Let's go.
Which one? Which one you trading for?
He's got a lot of paddocks now. I'm really happy.
Which Lamborghini? Which Lamborghini?
He only has one.
Yeah. 2 and 5%. Not many watches that go up that much. Like it's this is the point I was making. Is like, why do we talk about the same 2 to 5% all the time? Like, it's just boring.
Yeah. Cars are cool too. It is cool to find a car or buy a car that
cars are
is going to go up, like an old Corvette or something like that. That if you just hang on to it, it's just gonna in 5 or 10 years you're gonna get your money back plus some.
But it's all assets. It's all things these days that are going up, right? Sneakers, cars, watch, everything is going up. Everything you can't get at retail. I sent Archie a picture of a pair of Jordan 1s I bought yesterday. You can't get those at retail. You have to pay resale for those, which is
part of it is the dollar's going down as well.
Yeah. Well,
not to be a pessimist, but
no, yeah, I agree. It's a tough one because just over the last 2 years I've watched the market kind of flip flop, and it seemed like the bubble was never going to burst, and then it kind of semi like deflated a little bit. But Rolex is still kind of holding their own, but a lot of brands kind of didn't.
Yeah, but like Mike, again, apply the principles that we're talking about, right? Cartier Santos, right? Never buy that at retail. That's just going to go down. But if you buy it on the secondary for the right money, your money's relatively safe.
Tan, the problem is, I got to tell you this, Tan, a lot of these big brands now, like Cartier, I got to tell you this, Tan, the market's not the same. You can't buy Cartier for a discount anymore. It's really tough. It's really tough. So many of these brands, even bullshit brands like Breitling, they won't discount like they used to.
Yeah, that was pissing you off, wasn't it?
Discount on either my Tudor or my Omega.
This is the benefit of the gray market. So everyone hates the gray market because they overprice Rolex and certain paddocks. But understand, they buy all the stock of these other shit watches that nobody wants. And that's the benefit of the consumer, that those watches are going to be discounted on the secondary. And you can buy them, and if you buy the right one, it probably won't go down. You'll probably just keep it.
Just very quickly, Doc.
Is
that a two-door? It's got to be a two-door, right? Two-door. Yeah.
I would also add to what Tan is saying. If you know what you're looking for and you know what you want, you keep your eye out for someone maybe desperate for a deal. Like when I picked up my Reverso of the Grand Calendar, I sold it so much cheaper than it should have went for.
JJ, you know what I want as a one and done paddock, JJ?
What's that? The
5960.
Yeah. What about the 51?
Hey, I'll be right back.
It's okay.
You didn't like the 5172?
I got to tell you something, guys. You know what? I got to tell you, it's an incredible thing. I think the watch market, Tan, do you love cars now? Are you happy you put all your money, your play money into the Lamborghini, or do you regret sometimes you could have a kick-ass watch collection?
For me, it's seasonal, right? Like
he kind of has a kick-ass collection.
Yeah, it's just seasonal for me, right? Like it's summertime. Like I do a lot of rallies. Like I went to the States, went all the way down to the Tail of the Dragon in North Carolina, the Lamb. Like I drove my way. So I enjoy that. And it just it's a time suck. And then when I log on to YouTube and I see ex YouTuber whatever, some new random talking about the Daytona or the Submariner, I'm just like, well, fuck this. And then I go back. But then obviously when car season's over here in the north, it's like, well, I got watches and I come back on and I get sucked back in, right? So.
But you get a lot of
never really
how can you
Daytonas anyway? I mean, that wasn't your thing.
Sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
I said you never were into the Daytonas. You weren't.
Yeah, you know what's
Daytona
funny?
thing.
I bought a Pepsi yesterday, and I contemplated trading the Kermit plus cash for a Daytona. And then you're right. I literally was like, I'm not a big chronograph guy. My one and done chronograph is the Moonwatch. So yeah, like I'll probably flip it if I bought it, and it's just not. I'm getting way more fun out of the Kermit than I am with probably the Daytona. That's just me. I just like that watch better.
But when we were hanging out and you tried the Daytona on it did nothing for you.
No, it didn't. And that was a 37 mil, right? And everyone's like, oh, 37 mil is a girl size. I'm like, yeah, every one of those guys would definitely take a Daytona, 4-digit Daytona from back in the day.
Yeah. Oh, no. I don't mean the 4-digit. I meant the modern Daytona. I think you tried a 2-tone on like Jen and I.
Oh, yeah.
You were just like, this is nothing. I'm not into it.
It's just not for me, right? And look, that's just me. It's not for everyone. When Archie got the Maserati, that wasn't for me.
Ooh, Tan, what's with this sneaker? Are these sneakers expensive? I'm sorry, I'm not really a sneaker man there. What are those? I don't understand. What are these sneakers? Are a big collectible thing. I don't understand. How much are these sneakers you're displaying there? What are they? And makes them so. What is?
Yeah. So that's new Pepsi, by the way, I got. So Archie's gonna ignore that on the watch channel.
Nice.
So this is a Jordan 1 Chicago colorway. So it's a classic color that Michael Jordan had when he was.
How much is this pair worth, if you don't mind me asking?
So this retailed for $235 Canadian, and the resale that was yesterday. Great. It released yesterday. It's re-released. It's a re-release of an older shoe. It released yesterday for $235 Canadian. Today it's worth about $750 Canadian.
Whoa!
Are they comfortable?
They're absolutely not comfortable. I don't know how Michael Jordan played in these shoes.
Okay. Do you wear your pair, or what do you do with your pair?
I wear all my pairs. It's like my watches. It's like my cars. Like at the end of the day, where are you living life if you're just building it, like you said, a museum?
Now, if you wear your shoes, though, do they retain their value? If you buy collectible shoes?
No.
They don't.
Okay. Yeah, I would think shoes would be the one thing that if you did wear them, if you bought like a special pair of Jordans and you wore them, like you're not gonna get.
Just hang on one tick there. Just one tick there. Hey JJ, that link you sent me, that's for your show afterwards. Is that correct?
Right. Yeah.
So I'm going to link to your show today because I love you. Is it okay?
Thank you, sir. Greatly appreciate it.
ABC says Jordan 4s were the first comfy Jordans.
I don't understand this. So these shoes, these are Nike, aren't they? They're Nike shoes. Are Adidas shoes happy? See, when I was a kid in school, Kmart used to sell copy Adidas that had 4 stripes instead of 3 stripes.
Yeah, I remember that.
That was the shoes. They did the shoes. I mean, these Jordans. I used to wear. My brother used to have a pair of Deeks. Robert D. Costella. They called Deeks. My brother had a pair of Deeks, right?
Your question is Adidas,
and
they did
I
up
don't
until
understand.
They literally did up until Kanye West blew it up a few weeks ago. So Kanye West, he had a collaboration.
What happened to Kanye West? I heard he's got some problems at the moment.
Yeah, he went on an anti-Semitic rant, I guess.
Oh shit!
A lot of his
he's a fucking nutcase. That guy's a nutcase, man.
So why is he anti-Semitic? I don't understand that. That's crazy.
It's propaganda.
When I was a kid, I used to wear Puma Clydes. Anybody remember the Clyde?
I love Pumas. I used to wear Pumas.
These were the blue suede with the gray Puma swoop, and they had the sole kind of came up around all the way around the perimeter like these Jordans. They weren't flat and open. The side of the shoe didn't curl under into the sole. The sole kind of came up around the perimeter, like on these shoes pictured, and they're called Clydes.
Like,
and they were.
Yeah, I don't know how old you are, but these original shoes, like the shoes that this is copying, I think came out in like 1986. Like what Jordan's does is they create new modern shoes of a silhouette that they had created in the past, and they called like the Jordan 1, the 2, the 3, based on the year that they had released it. In Jordan. So when you were, when I was a kid, the first thing you do before you go to school is you want to buy a new pair of shoes, and you go for the new Jordans, and it's just that's how they're kind of recreating it in today's market. And all the young kids are all about it, even though they were never alive when.
Yeah, they don't even know who Michael Jordan is.
Now, I was told by Huff on Smash that my shoes look cooked. What does that mean? Cooked.
Beat down.
Hashed out.
Is cooked a good thing or a bad thing? Like, I don't like raw. Is cooked good or bad?
Cooked
worn
would
out.
mean worn out. Yeah, done for, hashed out.
Okay, fair enough.
I think the point is like collectible items, right? Like, I think the topic was, do you need box and papers? So a shoe like this, if I were to resell it and I want to get that $750 off a $200 shoe, the customer is going to want, or the buyer is going to want the box.
How much difference would the price make?
It would make a significant difference. You probably
I would think
probably double on a shoe.
Yeah, because it's also the authenticity of it, right? Like it's there's a lot of fakes. It's like any other collectible market, right? Like it's definitely a difficult one. So it is important.
The receipt probably would be just as important because of the copy, the Chinese copy market.
I mean, JJ's in New York, right? Like this is probably a big thing in New York shoes. Like he probably sees lineups of kids like sitting outside like Foot Locker and stuff trying to get these.
I was big. I used to collect these and the Dunks, the Nike Dunks.
Nike Dunks, yep, those are sick.
Big for in the early 2000s. Before that, I had a lot of the Jordans, the 3s and 4s and stuff.
Background.
People used to get robbed over these shoes.
Remember in '83 or so the white Nikes with the black Nike swoop, just solid white, painted leather.
The first Nikes I remember were the Jordans. Those were the big deal back then.
This is like before the high tops kind of came into fashion. The Clydes and the Nikes I described are just regular shoes.
It's an interesting thing. because in the car market, they say, because we're all trying to it's an interesting question where the guy's like, well, what do I buy for an investment for a watch? And in the car market, what becomes collectible is they say the term people. I think it's Jay Leno says this. People buy what they remember. Okay, so children or kids that are car spotters taking photos of cars today, when they grow up and they have enough disposable income to buy a car, they buy what they remember. They see a Huracan or an NSX or whatever the car might be at the time, and then they're like, I really want to get that car because I have a fond memory of it.
Well, that's why if I had my choice of any car right now, regardless of price, I would take another Pantera, just because. I grew up staring at one from 10 years old. My dad parked next to one in his parking garage when I was a kid, and I just grew up staring at it, and it's been my favorite car. It's
Mr. Belgiu, $2, 1980s Jordans and parachute pants, baby.
Oh yeah, there you go. Parachute
I remember those.
Woo! Yeah, I wore those with all the zippers and all the pockets. They're actually quite handy.
Like a Di Tommaso doesn't mean much to me, right? Like I grew up in the 80s. Or I was young in the 80s, but for me, it was just not a car I would see, right? But for me, when I was growing up, I saw the Porsche 944 a lot, right? So
well, De Tomaso was kind of the forgotten supercar. They're the 70s car, 72s when they first started coming out.
I want to ask you something. Do you love your Lamborghini now? Does it shit you off, or you just total perfection? How do you feel about it?
I think the car is, it's something when you get into the car and you drive it, it's the emotion that it gives you, but even more so, it's the emotion it gives other people. I think that it's the coolest thing. I've owned Porsches and BMWs and all these other cars, and just nothing ever really moves people like a supercar does. It just brings joy to children and people out there. And
would you ever go on the Ferrari side?
You know, for me, Ferrari today does not have any modern car that appeals to me. Like, I'm a big Testarossa guy. I like the F40. I like the F50.
Yeah, I'm with you right there. I was just going to say those three cars. Those are the three Ferraris.
Today, I mean, you got the 812, which is like front engine V12, which is it's a cool car. But like, to me, it's like if I'm going to get a V12, I'm going to get a Lamborghini.
They've diversified too much.
Yeah, it's just
you don't like the 296.
I mean, to me, it's like Archie. You knew this. You got a video about Ferrari Dinos. They call them. They wouldn't even name it a Ferrari. They call it a Dino because it had a 6-cylinder in the car. Right? Ferrari would never put a Ferrari badge on a 6-cylinder car. Like, it's just it didn't make any sense. But now they're doing it because of the whole hybrid system. But again, Archie, the answer is that your kids are growing up, being told that electric vehicles are good and gasoline powered cars are bad for the environment. But when they grow up, they're not going to give a shit about Lamborghinis.
No, they're going to Tesla's going to be what they want.
Exactly. And
have you seen the build quality on Teslas?
They're very bad. They're not good at all.
Why are they so shit? Why are they so shit?
It's terrible.
I really haven't. I've seen them on the road, and I mean, at least I have. I've never really inspected one, but from the looks from the outside, it looks to me like they got the body lines and everything pretty well sorted out.
I like AC Morgan's Arch.
Sorry,
I think I liked AC Morgan's.
I did, but just the panel gaps and things like the qualities isn't there.
It's not the design that's a problem. It's the build that's the problem.
Huh. Interesting. Yeah, I've yet to really look at a Tesla up close and ever driving one or anything.
People buy what they remember. So think of it like this. So I was going to say, like, we're looking, like, children are looking at watches. We're looking at JJ, me, you, Archie, Doc. We're all wearing these Submariners and GMTs, and it's funny because, those children might look at that and say, that's a grandpa's watch, because we will become the grandpas at some point, just like we see these dress watches as the grandpa watch, right?
Well, of course, all my watches are grandpa watches. So
what blows me away is Tesla is this like groundbreaking, forward thinking company, and they're still building their cars out of metal. And like in an old Toyota factory, when they should be making them out of composites, and I mean, all the car companies should be moving to composites, and a lot of like BMW, their front ends are plastic or composite.
The reality is most buyers don't give a shit. Like, just like
in composites are more expensive. So if you're making carbon fiber parts, it's going to be more expensive.
Well, no, composite doesn't have to be carbon fiber. It can be a carbon reinforced plastic, like my BMW. I've got basically an M3 front end on my IS, and it's composite.
Those parts are going to be a little more expensive, and so usually they're
made for pennies. They're made for pennies. They're injected plastic, just the same process as making plastic, just with carbon fiber.
Nobody knows that. Like, most of the mainstream public doesn't know. Just like in watches, man. Half of these guys don't give a shit about the horology. Everyone talks about, the horology. We should care about the horology. And most of these people don't care about that. They care about, like, is this watch desirable? Does it look good? Right? And that's it. They don't care. Just like Tesla, they don't care. They just want the latest and greatest. That's exactly why the 5-digit references aren't doing anything right now in the market. They're not going exponentially high. It's all these new ones because everyone wants the latest and greatest.
I want to ask you something. When you buy a watch tan, are you a box and papers man, or you don't give a shit?
I definitely do give a shit, because at the end of the day, my tastes change over time, and I want to obviously maximize, the transaction I can get afterwards. To say people that have money don't care about money or losing money is not true. Like, I think everybody, there's a lot of wealthy folks on this panel and in the chat that would, say that.
Tan, tell me this: how pedantic are you for every receipt for your Lamborghini? If you put gas in, do you keep the gas receipt? Do you keep every sponge you buy for it, you keep the receipt? Tell me how pedantic you are.
For detail stuff and gas, probably not, but definitely service records are important, and I'll tell you why. When I was selling my last Lamborghini, they didn't. There was no service records that were provided, and I bought it from a Lamborghini dealer. There was no service records provided, even though they're likely in the system. And when I was trying to trade it to another dealer, that dealer was trying to hold that against me, saying, "Well, you don't have any service records." And I kept being like, "Yeah, but like you can see it in the system, you know." Like,
why
if I
couldn't
send
they
it,
print them out for you?
they could. They just were using that as a tactic to lowball me on the
Did
car.
you get them printed out?
No, I didn't go to that dealer. I just told him to kick bricks, and I went to the dealer that I bought the car from, because I, they had a car that I wanted, and they had all the records, and I was just like, people play these games, and it's important, but it's also important because not everybody services at the dealer. Some people service at independents. It's big in the UK. I'm sure it's big in Australia. We're servicing at an independent. It's cheaper, but they have a lot of experienced people. So it's important to some people that if you have a dealer service, they may give that car a bit more value than one that was serviced at,
I see,
at Boys or some random place.
How many miles do you put on your Lamborghini every year?
I've been doing an average of about 7,000 to 10,000 kilometers on the car. And
you use kilometers in Canada, do you?
Kilometers in Canada, yeah. So we're, our season is
that's quite a fair bit of driving. You do a bit of driving.
Yeah, like just like with watches and shoes and cars.
You bought the car to drive, not to bloody museum piece.
Well, that's why when you said that yesterday, I was like, that's exactly the point. Is
I feel the same way. I built a museum before, and then all my exhibits were stolen.
I believe in the mentality of what's the point of living if you can't live, right? Like, I see a lot of folks that just always like they kill themselves eating healthy food and to maybe prolong their life by 5 years or 10 years. And I'm like of the mentality that, you know what, I'm going to do me. I'm going to enjoy my life. And yeah, maybe I don't live an extra 5 or 10 years, but at least in the time that I was here, I got the most out of it. Right.
Yes, that's a good philosophy there.
All right, can you the link one more time? I got to swap out devices here.
Yeah, sure. I'll put the link up there for you there. I got to tell you something, guys. Seriously, I've been in a few Lamborghinis. I've been in a Diablo. I have been in a Gerardo. And I got to tell you, there's nothing like a Lamborghini. They are a mean, vicious beast.
You're a kind of tall guy, though, there, Archie, and you're kind of a big guy.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Where does it all go when you get in that car?
I can tell you what, there is absolutely no storage space. The thing I don't understand is, Tan, how can a car be so big profile and have absolutely no storage space in it? Can you explain that to me?
It's funny. If you, after the show, go to YouTube and look up I think it was a CBS 60 Minutes video. It still exists, of the Lamborghini Countach. So type like 60 Minutes Lamborghini Countach. And it was an interview in the 80s that they were doing 60 Minutes with, I think, the marketing director of Lamborghini. And he literally says, there's no space. He's like, you don't buy this car to commute around and be your grocery getter. He's like, you buy a Rolls Royce to do that. You take your Lamborghini on holiday and you carry the luggage in your Rolls Royce behind you. Like it's not meant for that purpose. But I do car rallies, and car rallies, what they are multi-day long trips where we do specific types of roads and we drive only supercars. We got like 60, 70 supercars together. And the fun of it is you try to get a week's worth out of it by just using no luggage car, just stuff your Lamborghini with what you got, and whatever you need to buy, wherever destination you're going, you just buy it there. And that's actually what they say in that interview is, if you need a toothbrush, you need to buy clothes, you just buy it wherever you go.
Yeah.
Afterwards.
It's amazing philosophy there.
But do you think, though, that the Lambo is accepting of say 250-pound guy?
I don't think the weight is. Well, look, my co-pilot on the rally was a larger guy, and he felt that the sport buckets were really good. They were comfortable. I think the height is a problem. Yeah, the height is a problem. These cars, if you're above 6 feet tall, people likely should get the Spider or the convertible version, just because looks a low roof line. If you're between As a man, 5'5" to maybe 5'11", you'll be fine in a coupe. I think if you're above 6 feet, get the convertible. You just won't get the most out of it. But yeah, you're right. Like, it's definitely going to be a tough one to get into.
Now, do these cars have the pedals that come in the rear and the seats are stationary, or do the seats
The
move
seats
around?
will move back and forth. They don't go up and down.
Okay.
Mr. Valjoux, $5. I'll explain it, Arch. A Lambo is 4-wheel super rocket, just like a motorbike. You're not packing.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
But
But again, but look, let's go back to watches. It's the same thing. Is a Patek Philippe meant to be, you know, taken into the pool? And you theoretically could, 30-meter water resistance or whatever, theoretically, but you just won't use it for that purpose, right? Like,
yeah, it's not to be used every day.
No, it's not used for many purposes. Like, it's used for, you know,
special purposes.
And most sane people wouldn't even test it. I mean, it's not.
I mean, you've had analysts that wouldn't test submariners in the pool, man. Like, it's just, where does it end?
I tell you what, I was in Vegas with a sub, and if that sub hadn't been relatively recently serviced and checked for seals and everything, I never would have jumped in the water with it. It just wouldn't happen.
Yeah, it's just, it means the same thing, right? Like, you just, certain things you're just not going to use for certain purposes.
Rolex is one of the few companies I would actually like have a little bit of faith in, because they do have kind of a double O-ring seal setup.
Mike, think of it like this: the market today, like, everybody wants a mint condition. I don't know if you guys see them on Facebook, slider condition. They call it slider, which means, like, basically it's a used watch, but it's in like mint condition. Like, it'd be like
slider. They call it a slider.
Slider.
Yeah, it means it's kind of slang, like you could slide it right into the showcase and sell it as well.
That's a new term. Okay, you learn something new every day.
Sliders.
That's what people want. No, like, all the new buyers out there, they don't want a beat up watch. You know, like, they really don't. They want.
Yeah, they're not into patina anymore.
Right, so you'll have certain people, and I know JJ knows what I'm talking about. He'll be like, I'm too scared to go in the water with my watch.
That'll come back around.
And Mike, you're right. With my sub, it was a 1985 nipple dial, and when I took it in for service, they said they didn't have to do anything. The seals were perfect. It was perfectly waterproof. Everything was good. 1985.
Yeah, and
That's
because of the screw down dial, and I know that they have a dual.
Well, the plastics do age, but the rubber does age.
But even the quality of their rubber, it must be something, because, like I said, it's a 1985, and it didn't look like it'd been serviced until I took it in, and it was all good to go. They didn't have to change a thing.
I've inquired about, like, if there's any, like, I know Vaseline or cornstarch is what you put rubber bands in to keep them fresh. I asked my jeweler,
it's a petrochemical. It's a petrochemical, Mike. It's a petrochemical.
Well, maybe Vaseline is the wrong thing, but he said basically no. There's nothing you want to put on your O-rings to make them last longer. You just want to keep everything clean.
Nope.
And use it. And I don't know of anything you can use to prolong the life of the rubber on your O-rings, or just make your seal on your watch last
longer. Let me explain
it
to you, Mike. Mike, you remember in college, right? Remember in high school when we all said we were going to get the, you had that rubber you put in there, and then finally 10 years later,
you pull it out of your wallet and it's crusty.
Yeah, that's exactly what happens to the. Okay, you understand, don't you?
That's an interesting concept,
to an extent, but I mean, like I said, like Rolex is one of the few companies I have a little bit of faith in, just knowing that they have redundancy. They have 2 sets of O-rings on their crowns, not just one, and you have a screw down crown.
Blow out an O-ring.
Like, this is an interesting topic, because it really separates watches from a lot of other collectibles. Like the shoes we're looking at, like, if JJ bought this shoe in 1986 and he put it in his closet and he just pulled it out today, it would fall apart if he put it on his feet. It would hold zero value. There's no collectability in the long term.
The glue would dry up, and
exactly. You do that with a car, like with the McLaren F1. You can't let those sit, right?
No,
because the seals, they go bad. you know, from non-use.
Oh yeah, no, cars will die faster sitting than they will being driven.
But watches will outlive you. You know, you take care of a watch, it'll outlive you. You know, for the most part.
Or, like you're saying, if you take the watch and you put it in a safe deposit box for 10 years,
it will die faster.
No. I mean, ideally, you want to have it run at least once a year.
Yeah, I mean, if you took it out and ran it a few times a year, but unless you had it like housed in nitrogen, you know, oxygen takes its toll at the atmospheric pressures. You know.
Well, I have a couple of vintages that look like they were simply put in a box somewhere and let go, and they open them up and it looks perfect. And the watchsmith even had me listen to the gears as he was winding it, and you could hear it. And you know, if it's not used, it's good.
Any corrosion that happens because it's all you're talking about.
Well, and again, I'm talking about a Rolex, and I'm talking about an Oyster. So
yeah, so you're not going to have any corrosion going on in a Rolex, but you know, maybe in some other watches where they're using a metal that may be of lesser quality or of a metal type that does corrode. Servicing and or letting it sit forever and ever, you know, may cause issues. I know, like on my God forbid I say the word, the watch my father gave me is known. If you don't use the chronograph on it, it's got a vertical clutch on the chronograph, and if you don't utilize it, the grease that they use gets old and sticky, and causes the chronograph to not function as it should. And so it's kind of mandatory to use the watch periodically and actuate the chronograph a number of times just to keep it, you know, keep the blood flowing through it. Certain and cars, a lot of cars will shrivel up and die if you just never drive them. And then there's even mistakes people make, like when I worked at the Porsche shop, guys with air-cooled Porsches would start the car once a week just for 30 seconds and shut it off. And that little heat cycle would cause condensation inside the engine. And so they wondered why they'd open up their oil to check their oil cap, and it was milky white filled with water. And they were like, how does water get in my air-cooled engine oil? And it's because they didn't take their car up to full operating temperature. They didn't get their oil to burn, to boil off all the water that had condensed. That happens every time you shut your car off. The engine cools off and condensation forms inside. Just like a glass of water forms condensation on the outside or inside of a glass of ice water. And if you don't take your engine up to full operating temperature, you don't boil that water out. And if you just once a week fire your car up for 30 seconds and shut it off, all you're doing is just introducing water and then shutting it off. And if you just can, you know.
Here we go. We've got a super chat from Tan Zeal, the legend. $5. Archie, name a watch that became hype that hasn't been part of a lineup for more than 15 years, i.e. no GMTs, no Daytonas, no Nautilus. Archie, name a watch that became hyped that hasn't been part of a lineup for more than 15 years. Tell me, Tad. Fill me in, Tad.
So this is a question that I was thinking about, and you know, I'm trying to break the whole cycle of, like, you know, these specific watches. I don't know how long the FP Journe Chronomètre Bleu has been around, but it's a fairly new watch that kind of came out of nowhere, right? Like
Richard Mille.
Yeah, certain Richard Milles. Yep, that would also be a brand that definitely would fit the bill. FP Journe is an interesting one because, you know, some people talk about Watchbox, like, you know, buying up a lot of the market and hyping the market up. But that Chronomètre Bleu was always, I remember looking at one back like in 17, 18, something like that. It wasn't as crazy hyped, but like it was definitely highly sought after. And the reason why I'm saying this is because if like
you know something,
predicting-
Tan? I actually met a fan in Singapore who had a chronometer de blue. I had the world time on, and I remember thinking, you know what? I prefer my world time.
Well, it's interesting because everyone's trying to predict the market, right? And you know, hindsight's always 2020.
It is.
I bought my Nautilus in 2016, and I paid over retail. I bought it from David SW. I paid 26.5 for it in 2016, and it was, I think retail was like 24, right?
Do you miss it? Do you wish you had it still?
I don't. I honestly had a 15300 at the same time, and I felt that I felt that the 15300 was a better watch, to be honest. The class was just, it bothered me on that watch.
You sold that as well. The 15300 you sold as well.
I sold the 15300. I sold the 5711. I definitely do regret the 15300 sale. I think it was a perfect size at the 39 mil. I think it was true.
No, it is what it is. But look, you can't regret things. You're driving 2 Lamborghinis. Jesus Christ, Tan. Life isn't that bad, is it?
I think the point of the question was like, we try to predict the market, right? And it's
very hard to predict the bottom and the top, isn't it?
Absolutely. And while everyone, I don't know if you know the term, like Warren Buffett talks about, it's like, you know, sell when people are, you know, buy when people are scared and sell when people aren't, right? Like,
be greedy when others are fearful and fearful when others are greedy.
Exactly, right? Like, this is all this like running the hype of certain watches. You know, you're gonna kind of miss the boat on the real watches, and whether those are ever going to exist, right? It's a moot point, because I don't even know if watches are going to be, you know, a popular thing amongst children that are growing up. Like Archie, you got kids who have no interest in watches.
Exactly.
And I know a lot of people that just have zero interest in them. It's like an aging crowd. And like I said, this is a real question. Like, how many of these kids are looking at us wearing Submariner saying that's a grandpa watch? You know, they're just looking at our watches saying my grandpa used to wear that watch.
Yeah, these old bastards waste their money on stupid watches. Meanwhile, I got my Apple Watch. You know, that's what they're thinking. But you know what they do love? Cars. They love cars.
They love cars, absolutely.
But they love the cars, but they're not into the cars from the 50s and 60s, so the prices have actually been kind of dropping.
But they don't like limousine. Like I did some limousine driving years ago because I wanted to drive Rolls Royces, and I remember these young kids came in a Silver Shadow, and they said, "This is a car like the Addams Family," and I said, "No, the Addams Family is Bugatti, you stupid fucks. This is a Rolls Royce."
No, but it's funny because you asked, maybe this is the same in New York, but like everybody loves the G-Wagon. Like that G-Wagon is the car. Everybody loves it. It's like, it's funny. I asked this question, like my friend's wife was like, you know, saying like the girls don't care about the Lambos. They care about the G-Wagons.
Yeah.
Yep. G-Wagons.
Well, they like SUVs generally too.
Yeah.
But that's changed, right? Like that's changed. It's probably
That's funny.
Day. Nobody cared about.
You know
SUVs.
that guy. What's that guy? What's that Indian guy we've got on? You know, he's a really good fan. He's a really good fan from New York.
Swinging Kangaroo?
No. He's no. It's
I don't know.
And he he's got a E-Class, which he bought brand new. He wanted to give it to his daughter. His daughter doesn't want the bloody thing.
No, they don't.
The G-Wagons go so much over retail.
Sorry, he's a Gurkha. He's a Gurkha. He was a Gurkha.
Oh, you're talking about remember he got mad when I said he drove the cab after he said he drove the cab?
Yeah. He's a Gurkha. Lovely guy.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Man. Very nice guy.
Something watch. What the hell is this? What's his name on here? I can't.
It's one of the Time guys.
Time? Yes. It's slipping my mind. But he used to sit by the pool. Remember, we thought he was going to fall in the pool that night when he was drinking.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
Been
a great fan. Great fan. But I got to tell you,
do you remember the story when he went to have lunch with Wayne Gretzky because he bought the solid gold Breitling?
Yes.
And he got the free lunch with Wayne Gretzky.
Yes. He tells a great story. His wife is beautiful. He's got a beautiful
Timepiece fund. Timepiece fund. Sirocco sales were up.
What happened to him?
I don't know. Maybe he fell in the pool. No, he's probably taking a break, Arch. You know, people take a break from the hobby.
I was going to meet him in New York, actually. I wanted to see him. He was a great guy. Jeez. That's somebody who I'm sad that I didn't get to meet. Timepiece Fund. Yeah.
Super chat, Arch.
Super chat. Here we go. Tanzio. Okay, back on topic. Name a watch in the following brands that holds holds money if you buy right. Breitling, IWC, Cartier. Let me say this to you. I would have to say Breitling. I like the 806. You know, that retro, the one Cliver's has. I think that's a great watch.
Yeah, that's a good one.
IWC, you know, what I really like in IWC, I actually like that Ingy. I used to have the 3227. I thought that was a great.
Did you lose money on that watch, though? When you sold it, did you lose money on it?
No, I got my money back. I didn't make money, but I didn't lose. And Cartier, you know, with Cartier's look a bit hard, but
you got to go neo vintage, Arch. The neo vintage stuff, like the
I tend to agree with you.
2396 and all that. You know,
I really with Cartier itself. There, I like the Tank Americain.
Nice P.
There's nothing. I think Cartier is more of a ladies' brand. There's nothing I really want besides. I don't mind that modern Santos, but fucked if I'm going to be paying retail for it.
Yeah, but I think as far as holding money. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Dan.
See, I would say I reckon a Reverso is much better than a Santos. My own.
I think if you're going Cartier, you got to go the route of Christian from Theo and Harris and collect the neo vintage kind of stuff. All the old.
You're right. Yeah.
Because those don't really go. I mean, they've been going very high lately, but you know, they built up over time. They didn't just like explode like with the hype piece stuff. Except for like the crash because of Kanye West, you know. I actually just read an article about another rapper, Tyler the Creator. He had a big Cartier collection, vintage collection. He had a lot of really old vintage small pieces, things you would never expect a modern day rap star to be, you know, collecting now.
Oh shit! Yes.
Yeah, you know, Time and Tide, the Australian website.
Yeah.
They wrote the article. It was a pretty good article.
Okay. I don't mind. Time and Tide's had some good articles over the years.
Yeah, you should check it out when you get a chance. It was a pretty interesting read, the stuff he has. It was quite it looks like a woman's collection, you know, but he had the crash in it. He had a whole bunch of stuff. It's pretty good.
Gotcha. Interesting stuff. Tell me this, Tan. You love your cars. Would you ever go, well, what's above a fucking Lamborghini? This is the question I wanted to ask you.
What's above a Lamborghini?
Like with a Bugatti? Would you go Bugatti? I mean, what's above a Lamborghini? Or a Lamborghini is it?
I mean, you do have certain cars in the Lamborghini range that are like
Koenigsegg.
Yeah, like that. Then you're getting into, it's like watches, right? You got like, you know, the real mainstream, what we'd call the super watches, like super luxury type stuff, like a Patek. But then you can go higher than that. Right? You can get bespoke stuff from like.
I don't know if you want to go above what you got.
Like a Carry Voutilainen would be like a Koenigsegg or a Pagani. Right?
Where do you draw the line, Tan? Like like if someone was getting into the hobby and wanted a supercar, but like, I mean, I hate to use the word affordable because none of them are affordable, but like, where do you think is the line that makes sense? At what price point, what type of model before it gets too like ridiculous?
Yeah, it's
250 to 500,000.
That's exactly what I was going to say. It's in those sweet spots. You're going to find cars that are, you know, quite reliable. They have parts that are available, like the Huracan, right? It shares parts with the R8. You know, if it ever breaks, that's a super reliable car. Whereas people, my friends are like, well, why would you get this? Like what they call it, the Civic of supercars, because there's so many of them. It would be like how people would look at Rolex before the hype.
What, a Huracan is the Civic of supercars?
It was like Rolex. People would say
kind of.
Rolex.
What?
When you bump up into when you bump up
what
into
circle are you moving in, man?
No, it's true though, because they'll say, well, why don't you buy a McLaren? Why don't you buy a 720S McLaren? Right?
Yeah, there's cars above those, man. Like he's saying. I didn't mean to interrupt. Sorry.
Yes.
So we got a super chat. We got some super chats. Gotta get these super chats happening now, guys. Tanzil, $5. Arch, let's talk to hype of vintage and 5 digits. Are they going up as much as the new stuff, or as a whole, are they more flat? I got to tell you, I think the really minty, perfect stuff is holding. I think people prefer the more modern, but I got to be totally honest with you.
Yeah, think about the red stuff, right? The 1680 red, like it's not really going anywhere.
No, you're right. You're right. It
seems
seems
it could just be luck on my part, but the four digits that I've gotten have gone
I
up
think that's
nicely.
just
That's not why I got them, but they have.
I think that's a byproduct of the Daytona, and the Daytona is always historic. The Daytona is always sold over retail, even back in the day. Rolex never made a lot of them as it was, right? So like, I think the Daytona is a tough one, but like the Red Club, the 1680 Red for a while was going up exponentially, and it just flattened. And I think it's because all of the money that's coming in the market is all guys that are either speculators or people that just want brand new stuff, And this is kind of what I'm saying is, if you're putting all your money into this and you're thinking of quote unquote investments, it's like this stuff will change over time, and it's probably not where you want to park your money.
Yeah, every taste changes as time goes on. Different things get hot, so you got. That's why it's always good to buy what you actually enjoy wearing, right?
Exactly.
Just ask the guy with 50 Panerai.
Here we go, guys. Mr. Valjoux, $2. I endorse. About effing time. Check it out.
Yeah. Arch, I gotta hop off for a bit. Thanks for having me on.
JJ, I put the link on there. I'm going to end my show in 20 minutes, okay?
Oh, why don't you do 50 minutes? I'm not starting until 9:30. I actually got to run out for a bit. That's all right. You can do whatever you got to do. I'm not starting. I'm starting at 9:30.
I got to go to the bank safe today to put my stuff in, JJ.
What stuff?
I got
the one Rolex that's left.
The Speedy. I want to put the Speedy in. I want to put my passport in. Just a bit of shit like that.
All right, no worries. All right. Well, thank you for having me on anyway, and I'll catch you guys later. I got to run out for a bit. Thank you,
JJ. Take it easy, man.
Thanks. Bye bye.
Yeah, he did ask a good question though. Like, at what point? In like I said, the Huracan, like it's like Arch when Rolex wasn't like everyone wasn't like going crazy over them. Like when you just said, "Oh, I had a Rolex," and you're talking to collectors, like when you had your 5107, and remember that guy.
The Huracan.
Let me use that example.
Sorry.
Huracan is the entry level Lamborghini. Think of it as the Rolex. Okay.
Yeah.
Remember that time where you were working at that jewelry store and that guy walked in with his GMT and he thought he was all
No, he had a two-tone bluesy actually.
Okay, so two-tone bluesy, and you had a 5107 on your wrist, right?
Yeah.
How did you perceive his perception of that? He thought that his Rolex was like the end all be all of life, but you're looking at it like, yeah, that's like the McDonald's of watches.
Well, I never thought it was bad. It was just like a Mercedes.
He just thought that's nice where to get started.
It's like a Mercedes E-Class. It's a great car to go.
It's nice. It's a nice way to get started.
But it's not the end of horology, is it? You know what I mean?
Exactly, and there's levels, right? So when you see a Huracan owner is around a V12.
So the Huracan is sort of the replacement to the Gallardo, is it?
It is. It's the V10. But then you got an Aventador SV owner or an SVJ owner or a Ferrari 812 owner. They kind of like
Porsche GT2 RS.
Yeah, they kind of look at it like cute car, but it's not king shit, right? So
they probably look at it as like
BMW.
Probably look at it as you're kind of getting into cars now. So
BMW and M and AMG is kind of like Seiko. Like when it comes to cars, like supercars, that's where their level is among the supercar range or performance car range. Like it just goes way up from there.
Pablo has a good point here. Rolex is like a manual 911. Rolex is actually like Porsche 911s because they are they do go up a lot, but the value of Porsche, just like the value of Rolex, is it maybe punches above its weight, but when a Rolex,
and a lot of douchebags wear them, just like
when a
Porsche.
Rolex is the same price as a Patek Complication or Grand Complication, like to me, it's like, well, no, I'm going to get the Grand Complication. I'm not going to get the Daytona or whatever, right? Like it just doesn't make sense to me.
Tell me this, in your experience there, owning the Lamborghini, has it opened doors for you?
It definitely has. It gives you access to a different circle of people, just like owning a Patek does, right? When you're a Patek owner and you meet other Patek owners, it's a different stage in life. And I got a good example of that. I bought my 5127. I don't know if you remember, I had a white gold 5127. And I bought that from one of the one of the main executives of the biggest telecom company in Canada. And
yes, I remember that.
Yeah, he gave me a notarized letter, saying it was from him. It was his watch. For the provenance, I liked it. I'm like you, right? I want the provenance. I want just the extra pieces and stuff like that. But getting to I would never in life probably have ever bumped into him. We're not in the same industry, maybe different circles. He lived in a different city, but it brought me into a circle that now I had access to that. So same thing in cars, right? The rally I go on, has some of the richest, guys in Canada that go on that, and you just get to meet them, and you're on the rally with them, you're on the radios with them, you're having drinks with them, and it really opens doors. So it definitely has a big value.
Interesting.
We'll think about Porsche too, right? Like Jerry Seinfeld's a big Porsche guy. I think he goes to a lot of the PCA events around the New York, Jersey area or whatever. Could
I ask you, what does an Aventador cost in Canada? How much was that?
Right now they're selling for their MSRP is about $450 plus options. So they're probably in the 500. So Canadian dollars, Australian dollars, pretty similar. So probably about mid fives right now for an Aventador. Whereas a Huracan, you're looking at $300 to $350. So it's about 50% more for an Aventador. And all the V12 guys.
So what's the cheaper? The Huracan is the cheaper.
Huracan's cheaper, yeah. Huracan's the
cheaper. How much is a Huracan in Canada?
You're looking at. It depends. There's two generations. There's the first gen and the second gen. If you're looking at a first gen, Canadian dollars, you're probably mid 200s, 250. On the current model, the Evo, you're probably $300 to $350. So it's not obviously it's a lot of money, but again, a V12 owner is going to look down on a basic Huracan owner and say, it's just like a Daytona owner would probably look down on a owner of a sub no date, right?
Like a GT2 RS owner would look down on a. Honestly, I would love to have an 1986 Carrera, just straight Carrera whale tail.
Let me just do this,
and be completely happy with that. But
what is a decent? What point? What's the cheapest Ferrari? Sorry, the cheapest Lamborghini now you could get into that circle? A Gallardo? Is that the cheapest?
Yeah, I'm not gonna go into the old stuff like the Espada and all these.
Jopa. Could I turn up in a Jopa? Could I turn up in my Jopa?
That's why I'm not going to talk about the odd stuff like the Yalpa and the Espada. I'll talk about the modern supercars. So a Gallardo is probably your cheapest in, and you're looking at low hundreds. Yeah, low hundreds to get in. It's probably a Gen 1, not the LP model. But look, it's still a good car, right? They had issues obviously with their gearboxes, clutches go out every I think 30,000 kilometers, something like that.
Yeah, they're single
clutch,
single disc clutch. Yeah.
But here's the cool thing, is the Huracan as a new gen. There's a Huracan out there that I think it went 180,000 miles on its original transmission. People use them. There's cars that are well over 100,000 kilometers out there on the Huracan, where the owners have just done basic service and maintenance, right? And consumables like brakes, tires, stuff like that.
My dream Lamborghini is?
I'll take a guess, and then you can tell me. No, no. Miura for sure.
3500 GT.
Oh, come on! Really?
What's wrong with that?
Did you watch the movie? It's nothing wrong. Did you watch the movie? The one on
Netflix. We don't have it in Australia yet.
Yeah, so the Miura is considered one of the.
That's just incredible.
I know the Miura. The Miura is a design classic. You know what I like? I always like the Espada.
Espada is a cool one as well. But it's just more obscure. And I know you like the more obscure stuff, right? Just like you like the more obscure watches, right? People don't have the same. You and I have a similar taste in Calatrava.
I like a Rapide, Aston Martin Rapide. I don't know if you like them.
I have a friend who owns a DB. He doesn't have a DB5. He has a DB6. Still a cool car. Yeah,
DB6 is actually a better car than the DB5.
It is. He has a DB6. He has an F40.
That's late 60s. DB6 would be late 60s, isn't it?
Yep. And he has, what's the Dino? The 246, I think it's called the Dino. He has one of those 206, 246, whatever.
That's the Pininfarina Dino.
Yeah. The one you did a video on this years ago. He owns one of those as well.
Fuck. Great cars, aren't they?
Yeah, it's but again, right? Are your children going to care about 250 GTO. Probably not. Mike the Snake will be like, if you offered him a 250 GTO at retail, he'd be like, I'll take a 250 GTO at retail. Your kids would be like, I don't want that car.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Tell me this. Would you ever get a Bentley or a Rolls Royce, Tan?
Not new. Bentley and Rolls Royce are like the watches that you get at retail that just dump value and keep going down. I'd buy them used, I guess. Even then, I wouldn't buy them. It's just not. I'm not really that. It's not my type of car. I'm not an SUV guy either, right? So I don't understand the G-Wagon. It's not for me.
It's like a
G-Wagon. G-Wagon is kind of an enigma.
Eric L says LM002 for Arch. That's the Rambo SUV from Lamborghini.
Yeah, you remember those? They used to oil sheiks used to rally them in the.
But they're very collectible now because they're super rare.
Yeah.
Because Lamborghini came out with the Urus, right? The SUVs are so popular. So the LM002 is very popular. It's very collectible.
They were an 80s car, weren't they?
I believe so, yeah.
They were before the Hummer. They were kind of like a Hummer, but they were a Lamborghini. They were just ludicrous.
Well, think of the Hummers right now. The EVs are selling crazy money. Everybody wants the Hummer EV.
Here we go.
The original ones.
£1.80. Snake the make. Snake the make.
I was just looking up old models and old cars.
Old models for old guys for old cars. Yeah,
I mentioned the Pantera, but before it was the Mangusta. This is another super classic, really beautiful car. Pininfarina. I don't think Pininfarina designed it. It was De Tomaso that designed it. Back in that era, there were a lot of cars that were just so absolutely flawless in their shape and design, like the Ferrari P4, P5. I know it's a race car, but there's nothing more beautiful than that car.
What's interesting, Mike, is if you think about the design, right? Like if you look at a Lamborghini, the wedge-shaped design has existed in the DNA since the Miura, up until today in the Aventadors and the Huracans. It's the same design. Porsche 911, right? Since the 60s to today, similar design, right? Rolex.
Yeah.
Right?
The classic designs have stayed. They've held their
time. Yeah. Ferrari has changed this design, right? Like a Testarossa does not look like a model. Does not look like a
they've diversified too much, in my opinion. They got front engine, they got mid engine, and they've gotten into GT class cars like touring cars and luxury cars, and the good old Magnum PI car was the Ferrari I grew up with and thought it was just cool as all hell.
Archie, why did Ferruccio Lamborghini make the Lamborghini brand?
Because he owned the tractor company.
He complained to Ferrari about it. He complained, and Ferrari got shitty at him.
He said, "I have a Ferrari for every day of the week," and he said, and you make the best cars in the world, but all my cars, the clutch sucks. And he realized that the clutch that they were using was not that much different than the clutches that were in his tractors that he was sourcing. And Enzo Ferrari, kind of brushed him off. I think it was something like, go back to your tractor's farmer.
I think he wanted a different color, and Ferrari refused him the color.
Even today, Ferrari refuses stuff. They won't.
It was something petty like that.
Ferrari still today does that. I don't know if you know this, Arch, but if you're a celebrity and you have a Ferrari and you change the color to pink, right, from its Rosso Corsa red, you can get a cease and desist letter from Ferrari, and they can ban you from ever buying a Ferrari again.
Fuck, why?
They believe that their brand. They own the design. They own the brand. They don't want it.
They will only allow red or yellow, I think, or black. I think red, yellow, and black are the only three colors they allow.
You're joking.
No, I'm not joking. Unless it's some of their newer cars, like I said, their front engine cars. I've seen some blue and some newer colors in newer models, but in the older models, it was just classic Ferrari red.
They actually banned Steve Wynn. Steve Wynn bought a LaFerrari.
Because he resold it. He resold it. That's why they banned him.
And this is one of the richest guys in the States, and they banned him from buying.
I stayed at the Wynn Hotel. You know, the Wynn Hotel.
And it had a Ferrari dealership in there. He owned the Ferrari dealership, and they basically said they found out he flipped his car, and they were like, "We're going to ban you." And he said, "Kick bricks, get out of my casino."
Yes.
So
was he right or wrong?
So then that's why they had a McLaren in there then.
Yeah, like, was he right or wrong? At the end of the day, it's something you own, right? Like for example, it's funny. I always bug Doc about this, but he likes modified watches. But
not exclusively.
Well, not exclusively, but if Rolex said, "Hey Doc, we're going to ban you from buying Rolexes because you prefer or have modified watches," right? Like, you feel like, this is my property. Like, I can do whatever the hell I want with it.
Yeah, of course I'd be. Yeah.
I've heard that Rolex, like, if you have your case PVD coded, like, Rolex will refuse to service your watch. I mean, you're blackballed, like, as far as sending it in for any kind of service by them officially.
There was a manufacturer brand that was like modifying Rolex dials. This was before the OP dials came out, the colored ones. And they actually went after this company that was doing.
We got the Rancher. Just show. Is that really the Rancher?
It probably is. If Doc and I are on, it's probably.
Hope it's not Porno Rancher.
How do we know it's not Porno Rancher?
I don't know. Okay. You got to make sure.
Okay, Here we go. Here's Rancher.
Clyde.
Hey.
Hi.
Holy, Tanzil actually showed up. Wow.
Yeah, Jen was like, "When was the last time you were on?" So I was like, "All right, I'll hop on." And...
What's the avatar about there, Rancher?
That's Rancher as a kid.
This avatar that he has now is one of the best ones.
That's Rancher. That was Rancher as a college freshman.
When the current avatar was when Clive was live streaming years ago, and he put up this like picture of I don't know, I think it's a Native American blanket, and this the watches. And I actually didn't see what the message was at the time. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. So,
and that was rather funny.
Clive, just as you show up, he leaves. Classic.
Just wanders away.
Yeah.
So you don't have the MR2 anymore. What are you driving these days?
I do have the MR2 actually.
You got it?
Yeah, I've got the MR2 Mark MARC TOO, the MR2 Mark II.
Is it because you had a convertible one before, right?
It's a yellow convertible.
Yellow convertible, yeah.
Yeah.
Because you're a tall guy, so like if you were in a coupe, you probably wouldn't be very comfortable.
It's not like the convertible is hella comfortable, but it is fun to drive.
So Clive, what do you think of the whole comment I made about like vintage watches and 5-digit references kind of being flat, whereas all this new stuff is just going through the roof, right? It just doesn't seem like the buyers give a shit about these like 4-digit, 5-digit references. Even like,
I would agree. Yeah.
Which is good buying for anybody who wants to buy like a Explorer 2 previous gen in the 5 digits, right? Like you can get them at a pretty good deal right now.
Well,
I think 5 digits are the way to go for a bargain.
Or 4
relative
digits.
Bargain. Maybe 4. Certainly 5.
Well, for sure 5. 4 is a minefield, right? Because you're gonna have some definite 4 digits that are going to be very very expensive. Pavel, I don't know if Archie's back or if he's going to be back, so I'll just read the super chat and then he'll read it when he comes back. $20, Pavel, thanks for powering the good show. 10, thank you so much. I haven't been here for a while. I do obviously watch the show and I do super chat and stuff like that, but I hadn't been on, and I figured I'd come see what the boys are up to, and then Doc told me to stay on, so I stayed on.
I just asked if you could stay on.
Well, I haven't heard from him in a while,
and I appreciate that.
And Clyde doesn't send me any new sodas that he's drinking, so.
Actually, I have found a new cream soda that's almost honey based, and God, it's decadent. I'm almost afraid to send you any.
Yeah, the Boylan's was a good one. I like the Boylan's.
Oh yeah.
But a lot of my friends, they like the I guess Boylan's as a grape, a grape soda. They really like that as well. It's really hard. We don't really get a lot of that up here in Canada, but yeah, it's wild how the market's like just different, and just whenever I log on to YouTube, it's always the same stuff, and I don't know why it's always the same stuff.
Nick Miller says,
that's why vintage. That's why vintage is nice, because it's usually something a little unique.
And it's funny because all the YouTubers are like, well, even Goldberg talks about it, right? He's like, well, Rolex is the only thing that gets views, right? And I'm like, yeah, but like, are you just trying to get views, or are you actually trying to talk about why? It's funny because everyone talks about like, well, we're talking about horology, but I just want to get views.
Did you see Britt? Was it Britt Pierce, aka Watchgring, about her?
What is your thought on that? Like, because I don't know. Go ahead. You tell me.
What I'm wondering is why she was sitting on her stove.
Yes, I definitely noticed that. But like, what do you think? She was like, she was talking about assets and investments, right? Like, what are your thoughts on like the whole, topic?
Well, yeah, but it's not like it's like Money's Red Rolex. They used to be all about love and peace and freedom and goodness. No, they've always, but it definitely has changed in the last few years, especially. And when I called it the invasion of the moneyed snatchers.
It's just funny because like it's such a short-sighted, view of things, right? Like a lot of these YouTubers they haven't been in the game long enough, right? Nope. And that's why I brought up Panerai in this conversation. I said, guys, this concept isn't new. You guys just haven't been here long enough, and all these folks that are listening to these YouTube or influencers, right? I'm like, these influencers have not ever known the game when it was different. And yeah, it cycles, right? It cycles up and down. And like I was making the point of like, our children are looking at us wearing Rolexes. Rolexes could become the grandpa watch of tomorrow because it's so popular.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and the thing is though, I almost kind of view you, Tan. You are a pain in the ass. I mean, don't get me wrong.
Of course.
But and you delight a little bit too much about being a pain in the ass. But I almost see you as being like a collector emeritus.
To me, it's exactly that, right?
You've had like at one point you've had like the greats. What today are super grails? The Royal Oak. You've had the Nautilus. You've had the Aquanaut.
Sorry. Okay. Guys, we got a super chat from my friend Pavel. Pavel, $20. Thanks for powering a good show, Tan. Tan, I got to tell you, man, it's an absolute honor to have you here. I love to chat watches, cars. I don't care what the fuck we talk. You're such an interesting guy. Tan, yes. I want to ask you this. What do you think is going to happen to me as a collector? What do you think? You know me. You know me better than I know myself. You told me to get certain things, and I really love them. Unfortunately, the burglars took them. What do you think will happen to me?
When I heard the news, I just really hoped you weren't going to give up.
Well, screw you, man. Look, quit thinking about yourself. Do you realize what this is going to do to the Christmas song? The Christmas song is going to be worthless, meaningless. I mean, without 5 protects, what's the point?
I was just really happy that you didn't give up, right? I think at that point, being so devastated, most people or a lot of people would have just given up and said, you know what, screw this hobby. I know this is your business and stuff like that, but still, you could have been really salty and just not done live streams, but you didn't, right? And I think that shows a lot about your character in that you're resilient. And at one point, I think a lot of the viewers don't understand is Archie's inheritance from his grandfather was in those watches. He lost his inheritance in those watches. People do not understand the history.
Well, that was the 5107, which became the gold star, became the world title.
Right. You lost your 40th birthday gift from your wife. Like, these are pieces that would crush somebody. So I'm really happy that you stayed resilient and you have, and whatever it is, whether it's the bluesy, whether it's whatever, to me, as long as you're continuing and you're happy with what you have, like that is all that really, I think that's the important part of this. It doesn't matter what you're going to get. You're going to get something that's going to make you happy. I think it's going to be on your terms. And that's all that matters, is it's on your terms.
Interesting. Very interesting, Tan.
But I do really want to get a grand complication, so that's just always going to be my view.
No. I completely get it there. I completely get it. I got to say to you.
You've only got your shoes halfway on, right?
Yes.
Okay, guys. We need a $50 super chat, or Archie's going to showcase his feet.
I mean, I think
guys, I got to run off. Actually, I got to go. You know what I got to do today?
Super chat.
Let let me tell you what I got to do today. So super chat. Here we go, Mr. C, $1. Thank you, Mr. C.
Whoa, it's an old school night tonight.
I got to go,
including Mr. C, $1. That's old school.
I got to put my Speedmaster in the bank safe. That's all I've got to do today. I want to put it in. I want it to be safe. I'm going to put my passport in. I got a few sets of keys I'm going to put in there.
It wouldn't be the ArchieLuxury channel without a Man on the Moon, an Explorer 2, a Reverso, hopefully you'll get back, and a Paddock.
Yes, I honestly do hope I get. I'll get another one. And any advice to fighting these insurance companies?
That's a tough one because when you keep saying about receipts, right? I had a question for you. Is when you buy used, you buy a secondary market from somebody, are you getting the seller to write you a receipt? Like, how did you?
Not always. No. Look, for starters, I'm only getting $5,000 coverage for the watches and jewelry. I've got enough receipts for that. It's the things like they stole. I just discovered this morning. Where's my Ray-Ban prescription glasses? Oh, fuck! They stole them. I've looked the whole house over. That's right. They were in my study.
Oh.
So, yeah. How do I prove? Like, for example, I had a pair of soles, right? Guess what I found in my? I just looking before. I found the original box.
What's your
And I've got the case for those. This was the same pair of soles that Harry's garage wears. So there you go. That's my proof of ownership. Okay.
What's your plan for the stuff that's been damaged, like the books? Like, would you be willing to, if you don't care about them, give them to, viewers or sell some of them? Like, you have a lot of stuff in there that I think a lot of people maybe would want. And I know you're trying to rebuild the video. Like, would you be willing to get rid of some of that stuff and sell it off to like the fans?
Yeah, I am looking at that. I'm looking at becoming a luxury minimalist.
Well, yeah, like if you got damaged books, right?
Well, actually, the burglars really helped you out with that then.
Guys, I got to end the show. I got to go in to put this in the safe. I love you guys. Thank you so much for coming. I got a message that Gentlemen's Hangout is live. I'm going to end the stream. You're going to take all the viewers over there. Guys, see you tomorrow.
Archie, thank you for having me on.
This COVID cough. I don't know how do you get rid of COVID cough?
Time.
He got this COVID cough. How do I get rid of that?
You don't.
Warm drinks, Arch. Warm drinks.
Gargle with salt water. Gargle with salt water.
Guys, I will see you tomorrow. Thank you so much.
And ABC.
Thank you.
ABC, Mike, you're taking my stick.
I've done a doc. Come right at the end.
Thank you, everybody. I gotta go. I love you all.
Don't forget ABC.
Thank you.
Cheers,
Thank you, Doc. Thank you, ABC. See you later, guys.
Thanks for having me on, Arch.
That COVID cough, guys. I gotta shoot off.